So if you're like me and you thought that Endgame already buggers up a lot with its invention of time travel, my god, you have no idea how much this show messes up. I've been very public about my opinion of the MCU since Endgame. Endgame certainly feels like it's the beginning of the end for the MCU now that their main sagas come to an end, and there isn't really much reason for people to care. Captain America's gone, Thor is on his last legs, Iron Man's dead, there's no real threat left. The story's done, it's best to leave it there, we don't need a Civil War 2 or the Skrull invasion. And if only confirming my beliefs, WandaVision already destroyed the character of Scarlet Witch, as well as just being a god-awful and pointless show. And Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a god-awful and pointless mess as well. Seriously, they end the show exactly where Endgame has already left off, with Falcon accepting the mantle, but it also tries and fails to make any kind of point.
They just end up homeless? Look, I get it. But you have no idea how complicated this situation is.
You know what? You're right. And that's a good thing.
You just don't understand.
I'm a black man carrying the stars and stripes. What don't I understand?
So, at the start of the show, Loki takes the Tesseract and he's fired out of the sky and lands in the desert. Now, this is not a particularly large issue, but can Loki control the Tesseract? Because if he was just shooting blind, this is incredibly lucky he didn't just, shoot himself into space. He's also met by the TVA and they just humiliate him the entire time. At least it's not as bad as what they did to Thor. My god, Marvel sucks now. The TVA is basically a time authority similar to the time testicles in Rick and Morty, however, mixed in with the Star Trek Department of Temporal Investigations. These time testicles, however, completely screw with the entirety of the MCU, and this is a very good example of how adding time travel has very strong possibility of invalidating your entire universe. But somehow, this time authority manages to destroy everything in a new and original way. So because Loki took the Tesseract when he shouldn't, he's now in line to be melted. Bugger me. The thing is, Loki is completely right. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't mess with time, and he basically just made a decision they didn't like. Oh, but the Time Lords were perfectly fine with the Avengers messing with their own timeline, which was what allowed Loki to pick up the Tesseract. But the implications of this alone are pretty messed up. Now in Marvel there is no more free will. They literally say it could be something as simple as not turning up to your job on time. If it goes against the Timekeeper's sacred timeline, you're suddenly melted and they just reset everything with a juice grenade. It just seems so inconsistent. So you can go back in time and meet Winston Churchill, and you'd get melted, but someone else can do it. And that's fine, because they were supposed to do that. That's part of their plan. Well done for destroying any kind of free will in the MCU going forward. It's not that you choose anything. It just happens that when you decide to choose for yourself, you get pulled out of time, juice grenaded, and they melt you till you make the correct decisions. And you follow this path made up by some lizards. I love how Loki just going somewhere else with the Tesseract is a breach for the TVA, but Thanos and his army going forwards in time, that's completely fine. We don't need to do anything about that. So they fix time with a little juice grenade they drop on the ground that explodes and it resets time somehow. So Loki is gonna get melted, but then he is saved because they need his help. A variant of Loki is targeting the agents in the field and wiping them out. But the thing is, why do they need Loki? How is one Loki variant giving them trouble? They took out one like it was nothing. And these people have the ability to make people's powers inert. They even make the power of the Infinity Stones useless, on demand, and they have an infinite amount of them being used as paperweights. How are beings this insanely powerful this week. These people also know everything and have complete control of time, yet they don't know what this Loki variant is doing. God, I'm still pissed at them just tossing 20 Infinity Stones into a bloody drawer. They claim to have thousands of these things, universe-ending weapons which threaten to destroy the entirety of existence, reduced to glowy paperweights. Thank you for invalidating the Infinity Stones. Wasn't it explained in Endgame that if you remove one of these stones it messes with the timeline? So if they are preserving that, why do they have thousands of these things? Why wouldn't they put them back every time they caught someone with one of these stones? God damn, this just breaks so much. Okay, so it's not all terrible. There is some actual character work for Loki as he's shown his future. He has shown how he causes his own mother's death, and he ends up watching his own. Then, to see the entirety of reality being destroyed around him is extremely well performed, and for that I will definitely commend Tom Hiddleston. But already Loki is just so goddamn terrible with how much it destroys the entirety of the MCU. There is no way I'm going to watch the rest of this show. I already get headaches enough watching Bad Batch. I really wasn't planning on covering Loki. I was working my video breaking down HK47, but after hearing and seeing for myself how much it cocks up, I just had to put my thoughts in a video format because of how much idiocy is on display. This wasn't even necessary. You remove the Infinity Stones, you remove the melting of people, and just say they need Loki because an alternate version of him is causing trouble. Free worlds preserved, Infinity Stones preserved, a hell of a lot less issues, but cut back the humiliation of Loki. I'm really not a big fan of that. This is not a review, and I will not be reviewing this show. I'm merely pointing out how much this already fucks up the MCU, and I'm definitely stepping off the Marvel train now. There isn't really much left to say, other than these videos are a lot of work. I mean, look at this place. And this setup is not cheap. So I really do appreciate everyone who wants to support my work, either through Patreon or Streamlabs. My Twitter and Discord are also in the description for anyone who's interested. Now it's time for me to bugger off, so thank you all for watching, and this is Shiny, signing off.